Welcome to video 25. Now that we can add products to our cart, we need to change the way the cart page is set up to replace the static HTML that's in place with the actual information about the items that are in the cart. This is a little bit complicated, and then probably this next process that I'm going to be explaining is the most complicated thing we'll be covering in this course. In order to create these rows of data, we're going to be using a method that we're going to create called createCart. In order to create the rows of data, the cart needs to get the product information from the database. In order to get that product information from the database, the cart needs to retrieve a list of IDs from all the items that are currently in the cart and use that to retrieve that product information. So that's sort of a basic overview. Let's dive into the code and I'll demonstrate everything as I go. The first step in this process is to modify our cart.php page. So above this get category navigation comment, I'm going to add get items in cart, and I'm going to create a temporary variable and call it display. And I'm going to call the cart objects createCart method. Then immediately following that, I'm going to use template set data. I'm going to set cart rows to display. So this will call our createCart function, which is going to handle everything involved with creating the individual rows to display on our cart page. Next change, I'm going to go to our vPublic cart, and I want to remove the list items that are within this unordered list with a class of cart. So remove those completely, and then instead I'm going to put PHP this get data, and I'm going to get the cart rows like so. If we're calling the createCart method, we actually need to create this method. So I'm going to go over to my model, and down here at the bottom, add a new comment. This is going to be a section for creating page elements. And if I remember correctly, I did a similar thing, for example, with categories. So I'm just going to copy this comment to create page parts comment, just to be consistent with other files. And I'm going to paste that in place. And then, like I said, we're going to create public function create cart, like so. And I'll put documentation in place. And this particular method is going to return a string containing list items for each product in the cart. It's not going to take any parameters, and it's going to return a string. So the first thing this createCart method is going to do is it wants to access the product information for all the products in the cart. So I'm going to add a comment, get product currently in cart. I'm going to say products equals this get. So this is a new method which is going to handle the retrieving of all the product information for any items that are currently in the cart. So if I'm going to call this, I need to create it as well. So up the top of the page, up here right below my getters and setters comment, I'm going to add public function get. And the first thing I'm going to do, actually what I should do is I put documentation first. So this is going to return an array of all product info for items in the cart. It isn't going to take any parameters. It's going to return an array, or potentially null if there aren't any products in the cart. So we're going to do if is set, and we're going to make sure that the session variable cart is set. And if it's not set for some reason, we're going to return null. Within this section, we need to get all the product IDs of items in the cart. And to do that, I'm going to do IDs equals this get IDs. And this is going to be a method that'll handle getting the IDs from the cart variable. And I've separated this out into a separate method. I could have, of course, put it here, but the fact is I'm probably going to be using this method in other spots within my cart object in the future. So I want to make sure it's as flexible as I can possibly make it. So IDs, once this particular line runs, the IDs variable should hold an array that lists all the IDs that are currently in the cart. And then we need to use that list to get product info. And to do that, I'm going to be using the products object. So global products. And I'm going to return products, get, and I'm going to pass in the array of IDs, like so. So far, here's the flow. On the main cart page, we call the cart object's createCart method. The createCart method needs to get the product information in order to display those items within the cart page. So it calls this get, and that particular function calls this get IDs to return all the IDs of the products in the cart. And assuming that it gets the ID successfully, then it accesses the product object. It uses the get IDs functionality to return all that product information, and then it returns it back to the createCart method. And this products variable will hold that array of product information. So one thing that we haven't done is we haven't created our this get IDs method. So I'm going to do that just below the public function get. So public function get IDs. I add some documentation as usual, and this is going to return an array of all product IDs in cart. And this particular method is pretty simple. It again checks if the cart variable is set. So if is set session cart, like so. And if it's not set for some reason, it returns null. But if it is set, we return the array keys, which are all of the product IDs of the items in the cart. Return array keys for session cart, like so. And let me just finish this off. This will return either an array or a null.